Well, now since all three of my Kirbys have conveniently fallen over to reveal their brush rolls, how about we go ahead and do my very first test where I test brush roll RPM. So I've got my little handy dandy meter right there, and if you notice closely, I've got reflective tape in a conspicuous spot in each one of the brush rolls so the laser can actually pick this up. Now, truth be told, I've already measured these, but because it takes about 2 minutes for the machines to fully warm in and produce maximum RPM, I'm not going to sit there and bore you with 6 minutes of waiting for these machines to actually run up to maximum RPM. So I'm just going to give you a general idea, and then in the video I'll go ahead and put the actual peak RPM in there. So just like when you start your car and the engine's cold, it takes a few minutes for the engine to warm up to maximum speed, and it's the exact same thing for these particular electric motors here. So let's get started with the dual Sanatronic 80. Okay, so close to 3,600 RPM. So not bad. Let's move on to the G3. Very similar to the D80, a little bit more, a little over 3,700. Now let's go over to the Avalir. Okay, so you saw it getting closer to 4,200. Notice quite a difference from the older G series to the newest G series. Okay, so let's go ahead and sum everything up. Let's see how long I can hold this position being 54 years old. So let's take a look at the last 50 years of Kirbys. Now obviously I've just picked 3 data points, so I can't include all the Kirbys in here because, well, you wouldn't be able to see me. They wouldn't fit in a carpet this small. So what we have is you go back to something in the late 1960s, and this machine, despite its lower sand performance, is still usable and relevant today. Where would you want to use something like this? How about carpet that's delicate? Do you have a $5,000 rug? Do you have something even more expensive? So the problem is something like this is probably entirely too harsh. And even the chevron brush roll in this might be a little on the harsh side, but this actually isn't really too bad. This brush roll here is just much better for something that is, shall we say, delicate. So you want to pick up the fine dust, you want to pick up some of the sandy, gritty material, but what you don't want to pick up is a whole lot of carpet. So That's not too bad. And let's face it, let's see what it do. 43% pickup with the standard brush roll. That's okay. What I really want to concentrate on is about the last 30 years of Kirby's. So this is a 1993 model, but the G3 originally came out in 1990. And this is an exact 2015 model, but I know that they have an Avalir 2 that's got more of a blue motif to it. And to that end, this pretty much goes all the way to 2019. It's still an Avalir series. So let's look at the differences primarily between the first G series with the Tech Drive that started it all and the most current G series. So we have a 21% increase in airflow from here to there. And since these machines were completely refurbed, they're running as best as they possibly can. We have a whole house carpet cleaning pickup increase of 63%, mainly due to a more aggressive brush roll down there, but also another, well, say close to 26 CFM increase makes a difference as well. That's a big increase for whole house carpet cleaning, even though I don't really have sand in this carpet. We have sand pickup, specifically an increase of 22%. So you've got the new Chevron brush roll in here. I only have a couple hours on it, so this is in really good shape. This one, I don't know how many hours are on it, but bottom line is it's still fairly new condition. So it's not used or abused, and there's still a 22% increase in sand pickup. That's still pretty significant. And baking soda. Okay, so baking soda is your fine dust. Bottom line is, when you're already at the top of your class and there's almost no headroom, there's no additional room for you to continue to go up, it's hard to get any better, but they've managed to do it. 9% increase between these two machines. Both of these machines are great. Even the dual Sanitronic is great with fine dust pickup. But the G3 was at, what, 85%? And this one's at 93%. So definite increase in performance. It's taken decades to get there, but it's gotten there. And lastly, here's a proof that I initially started talking about on Vacuum Land a number of years ago. When I was on Kirby's own website, when the Centria 2 came out, and I happened to take a look at a Centria 1 as well, and I've had a chance to come across two Centria 1s actually. I noticed that the pitch of the motor was faster. I could easily hear that. Now wait a minute. I thought that the motors were kind of the same. Well, Kirby has kind of pulled a fast one, and by that I mean they've increased the efficiency of the motor so it runs faster. There is a 12% difference specifically between this exact G3 and this exact Avalir. So what that actually means is, after a period of time, say after the G3, 4, 5, 6, some engineer said, hey, wait a minute, let's see if we can increase the airflow. But we have only a couple of things we can do. We can increase the motor efficiency, and they did that, in this case 12%. But you know what? Let's go ahead and change the emptor, the outer bag, and the inner fill tube. Let's change those three things, and we'll get another 9% increase in airflow. So the bottom line is, we can explain specifically where these two machines get their differences from. So what I will leave you with lastly is, there are some videos out on YouTube, and they're by people that say work in the vacuum industry or people that happen to repair some of these machines, and they have made statements. It's very aggravating to watch some of these videos, and the statements basically say something along the lines of, these machines are essentially the same, Kirby never changes their designs. Now I'm kind of glossing over some of these things a little bit, but in a number of decades, Kirby has upped their game. It's been slow, it's been steady, but there is a definite increase in performance going way back to the 1960s. And I understand I'm skipping a bunch of models in here. Going to very early 90s, and now going to almost 2020, going to the late 2010s. So I understand that some people look at a design like this and they say, well, it's real retro. And obviously this is kind of retro. Some people like it, some people don't. So they take a look at a design like this and say, well, because the cosmetics are about the same, the machines must be about the same. And any other reasons they can think of. And that's simply not true. And these people don't have any way to measure things, and they're not somebody who measures anything one way or another. I don't see any measurements on their channel. And they make statements where they say, oh, there's no appreciable difference. Well, now we have a huge laundry list of literally upgrades, specifically that you saw at the beginning of this video, that proves beyond the shadow of a doubt that with Kirby, it's steady, slow, upward progress. So Kirby over the last roughly, say, 50 years, I wish I could show more models in here, but it wouldn't fit in this environment because I have 10 of them. And I don't know what the future brings for the Avalir. The Avalir 2 might be the last of the Avalir series. Maybe there'll be an Avalir 3. Maybe there'll be something that is unrecognizable. The bottom line is this represents quite an achievement, especially when you consider this is what it started off at with the initial G series. So 21% difference between these two machines. And if you wanted to, if you have an older machine, G3, 4, 5, 6, whatever, and it happened to come with the chevron brush roll, and you want better sand pickup and you want higher agitation, you can take the brush roll from here, the stiff oblique, and it fits right in here just fine. You may not have the brush roll performance indicator light under my knee flash, but the brush rolls do indeed fit. So anyway, I thought this was a little different type of environment, time for me to maybe get more in front of the camera. And when I initially sat down, I had this funny urge to say, welcome my vacuum cleaner chums, how are you today? And you all know who that is, but I'll refrain from doing that. Okay, thanks for watching and stay tuned for more.